very excited to share with you today. My name is Gregory Peart. I'm with National Commercial Bank. And as you know, we're the number one in payments, or the number one in e-commerce as well. And I'm excited to share with you today about the future of payments and how we can assist you with reshaping your business model. When I heard about the future of payments, I was like, it's a very wide topic. How do I ensure that I convey something that you find meaningful, something that can assist your business, and as a marketer, something that can help you to drive value for the businesses that you serve, right? And then I recall Albert Einstein when they had asked him what will World War III look like. And he said, I don't know what World War III will look like, but World War IV is going to be sticks and stones because the technology will be so great for World War III. It's going to be damaging, and that is attributed to Einstein. And while I'm no Einstein or Nostradamus, I can tell you that payments is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And I will share with you about the near future of payments. So what I'll share with you will be three key things: the evolution of payments, and what are the pillars of the future of payments. So telling you specifically everything about the future, I'll tell you what are some of the key things that they will cover. And I'll also share what's the next for the future of payments, right? And it was the Spanish philosopher who said that if you don't know to know your future, you must know your past, right? George Santayana. And I'm going to give you a little bit of overview of the history of payments. So we move from barter system to paper money, and then bills of exchange or promissory notes and checks, and then debit and credit cards, and then digital payments. In case you're getting hungry or you might tune out a little, the key thing I'll say to you if you're in this presentation is that convenience is what is important to the consumer and the merchant. And where you have that nexus of convenience between the consumer and merchant, that is how they will want to pay. And as a business customer, you have to ensure that you're meeting the customers wherever they are. Ensure that you make it easy for them to do business with you. Because if it's not easy, they're going to go elsewhere that they find it easier. So as payments evolved, it was because of one option being more convenient than the other. So like when we just had a barter system, let's say I raise cows, and I wanted some grains of corn. I have 10 cows, and I go to Javed and say, Javed, sell me some grains of corn. I need 1,000 pounds of grains of corn. Javed might say, okay, what you have to offer? At the time, we never had any paper money, we never had any coins. I say, I have 10 cows, but Javed doesn't need any cows. So there was no double coincidence of wants, because Javed may need sheep or he may need something else. So it just never made sense to move forward. So that transaction was too difficult. And if I needed to buy anything, I can't walk around with 10 cows everywhere I'm going to make a purchase. So it wasn't very portable. So it was too challenging for people to do business. So over time, it evolved. And there are many things we can learn from history to understand where we're going. So like the Chinese were the first set of persons who said, okay, what can we do differently? And they are the first examples of money about 1100 BC, when they would have some little, what we'd probably call coins now, but these weren't shaped in a circular format. They were shaped like tools that they used. So they were shaped like miniature replicas of like, let's say a dagger or a tiny spade. And these were cast in bronze. But when you dig your hand in your pocket, that would be very painful. So they eventually changed that to something that was a lot more friendly, like circular in shape. And as time evolved, they minted coins that was like 600 BC. And then they were even using leather at one point as an alternative method. And then in Europe, they started with coins, and then they were backing paper money that were backed by gold or silver. And then by the early 1900s, it became common for us to be using coins as we know it now and paper money as we know it now. But remember, it must always be convenient for the consumer and the merchant. If it's not convenient, then the transaction will not take place. I remember when I just started working, I was so excited when I got a checking account. I remember when I signed my first check to pay a bill. But no, I don't even have a checking account. And in fact, most persons will not even bother to do a checking account because to receive a check is no longer convenient for the merchant. If you go to a business place to do a transaction, they don't want a check. From a regulator perspective, they make check even less attractive by introducing fees to negotiate checks over particular amounts. So now we move to different types of ways to pay. And we're going to look at what would be the characteristics of payments today that for you running your business and as a consumer, what is that people find attractive? So it needs to be digital. It needs to have an omni-channel approach, and it must be seamless for transaction processing. And naturally, it needs to be secure and provide some degree of data analytics. The Small Business Association of Jamaica said that since COVID came to Jamaica, which was around March 2020, approximately 35% of small businesses have closed. Not many of them were able to quickly and adequately pivot to accept payments that would meet this criteria. And this is what people look for. So it's important that as someone running a business or working in marketing, you look at how can you meet your customers. So let's break it down a little. Let's dissect it. When we say omni-channel payment acceptance, what do we mean? So if you're engaging your customer over WhatsApp and you've sold them over WhatsApp, as best as possible, do not redirect them to another channel to make the payment. Accept the payment there. Similarly, if you're doing it over Instagram, if you're doing it over Facebook, if you're doing it via a website, accept the payment there. When a man ready to buy, don't give him an opportunity to change his mind. So our NCB assists you is that we have, for example, you would have seen KFC with their WhatsApp payment. That's powered by NCB, where you can actually go on WhatsApp and order food. And then, they have a bot that would communicate with you. It almost makes you feel like you're talking to a human, and you can add if you want extra sides, you can add that. If you want extra ketchup, you can communicate the same thing you would have communicated before. And you can even indicate your pickup time. And you make the payment using your card, you make the payment via WhatsApp. We also have it via our marketplaces. So like KFC uses one of our marketplace providers, Seven Crave. Similarly, you have another one of our merchants like Burger King, Popeyes, Little Caesars, that group. They allow you to, when you order your food via the phone and you pick and they're delivering it to you by the rider, you make the payment there. And if you're running a business, we have a number of options you would call like active invoicing. When you send an invoice to a customer, they can click pay now and enter the card details right on the invoice to make the payment. So it's always important that you look at how can you meet the customer wherever they are. And while we were looking at digital for the in-store, how can you make sure that the payment in-store is seamless? And we provide many opportunities for that. So like all our terminals, they go for contactless acceptance. And especially if you have a high traffic store, you don't want to have people waiting too long. And I think 53% of the transaction speed is improved once you're doing a contactless transaction. Let me say it another way to ensure you understand. Transaction goes 53% faster once you're doing a tap and go transaction versus entering your your card and then, or swiping your card and entering a PIN. And we have different security features on that, where, for example, we have limits on those type of transactions, like velocity checks that are done to ensure it's secure. And another way that you can ensure that as a customer, you can support seamless transaction for your customers is that for those customers who are making payments on a fixed schedule, you can do recurring payments. So if you have an e-commerce platform and they need to pay X amount each month, then you can just, no need for them to enter their card details. You can just charge a card each month or each week or every fortnight, whatever the schedule is. So you make it easier for your customers. And then sometimes they don't have all the money up front, but you don't necessarily want to take the credit risk by lending them the funds for them to get the value of your good or service. So what we're seeing now is that more and more companies are engaging what you call BNPL, or buy now, pay later, or if you look at NCB's installment plan, when you go jncb.com/zero, ZERO, you'll see where customers can make payments even when they don't have all the money up front. And there are many options for that. And there are many things to come as well in the pipeline, which you'll learn a lot more as we unveil them in our new financial year. But what customers want is the opportunity to do more in less time and in a very convenient way. So when you're engaging your customers, it's important that you provide a number of channels for them to contact you. They choose which one they prefer. And then when they're executing on that channel, they make the transaction very seamless. From a security perspective, naturally, we adhere to the highest level of PCI DSS, that's Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards. And once you're a merchant, then we extend that to you as well. So all the platforms, everything that you use, every engagement that you use, every way that you interact with a credit card detail, we want to ensure that it's within the highest level of PCI. And we provide our training and guidance, as well as we do scans on your website to ensure that you're not in breach. And we also use 3DS, which is another layer of security. And we use tokenization, which is just a fancy way of saying we don't, we mask the card number, it's a token number that is there. And one of the great things about that as well is that we provide, even coming very shortly, you see wearables where a card holder can come with, instead of using a card, it can come with a bracelet or a watch, and they can scan it over the device to ensure that they have a very frictionless experience. So payments today, we want to ensure that it's digital, and we want to ensure that also provides omni-channel, it's seamless, and it's very secure. And from the merchant perspective and the cardholder perspective, you provide insight in terms of how they receive their sales and in terms of how they're spending their money. And that is very critical, that as you start and continue to engage your customers in communicating the value that you bring, that you immediately give them an opportunity to make payment. So, because you don't want to give them an opportunity to think twice before making the payment. So we're going to pause for a second as we look at what will the future look like. And the future will have 4 underlying pillars. It will be innovative, it will be intuitive, it will be integrated, and it will be intelligent. So I won't tell you that this particular solution A, will be in place by this particular time, but whatever it is, it will cover these 4 pillars. So what do I mean by innovative? So it will not be as we know it now. We'll continue to build on a lot of what we already know. So we continue to learn from AI. We see where regulators are more involved with even cryptocurrency, which will ensure that there's a lot more stability in that space. And with cryptocurrency being almost normalized as a way of transaction processing, that will reduce the cost. And that is particularly important for economies such as ours, where as a process of payments, we need to manage the cost. And as a merchant, you also need to ensure that the costs are minimized so it doesn't impact your profit margin significantly. So we expect there to be a greater push in that space, and even more from a P2P space as well, where you may need to send money almost real time to someone. We expect to see a lot more development in that space. So you have like Visa Direct or MasterCard Send, and with our own local regulator now, we're seeing there's a lot more activity which is being piloted through NCB. And what you'll see is that your customers will be coming with this payment option because they are storing value. So they have what would have been considered the 20 cows no longer stored in 10, let's say 10 $5,000 notes. It's no longer stored on a piece of paper with that they have signed on that would have called a check, but is now stored in a digital wallet. So if they're coming with that tool to make the payment, or will you accept it? So it's important that you always consider, are you ready to accept the ways that your customers pay? And you may ask, so Gregory, I can't do everything. How do I know what do I do? The answer I would say to that is that understand who your customers are and where they are. Because even if you can't necessarily do e-commerce now, some of your customers may not necessarily want to go online now, but which customers you want to target as well? Are you missing out because you have not gone there to capitalize on other customers? And there are even incremental steps that you can take. You may not get a developer and get a full-blown website, but you could actually go the route of the payment buttons, which does not require a developer and is more a low-cost way to actually accept payments remotely. And it still has the integration with like a DHL, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that shortly. But it still allows you to accept payment remotely without your customer coming in. You just send them a payment button, a link via WhatsApp or Instagram or Facebook or email, and they can make the payment. So think about where your customers are. So we've spoken about innovative. Let's talk about intuitive. All right. We pause for a second and let's go back in time. You remember your first BlackBerry? The first thing you remember about BlackBerry, because we're all coming from probably Nokia or, you know, that where we would play Snake and those things. The BlackBerry was just intuitive, and then if you're a part of the iPhone Apple world, you probably say there's nothing more intuitive than if you're in that universe. It understands you. Some things it just does without you even thinking you need to do, right? So there's not much friction and everything just happens. You conceive it and it's executed. So similarly, payments need to take that format for people to continue to say, okay, I will use this option to make a payment because, you know, it doesn't require much of me, right? So think about it. What's the experience you're providing to your customers? Is it innovative? Is it intuitive? And next question, is it integrated or is it benefiting you as your business? Do you just have a standalone machine that you collect the payment, or you just have a website that you collect the payment, but it's not updating the inventory in the back end? You know, so you have to have another system where you update the inventory, and it's not updating your shipping details that you may need to ship, right? There's no CRM that is built. So you can't recognize that, you know, this customer made this number of purchases over this time, and this is their buying patterns. So like, you know, like when you go on Amazon and you might say, welcome, Gregory, and you say this, you just automatically populate some things that you may need to buy because last month I bought gardening tools. So probably this month now, I may need to buy other stuff for my garden. It could be that I need to buy some seeds. It could be that I need to buy some more gardening tools, or I could buy some fertilizer, but it is understanding my customer journey. So you have to ask yourself, what is the experience I'm providing to my customers? And is payments facilitating that experience in the background, or is it standing out like a sore thumb. What you need is for payments to be in the background, make it very seamless and integrated for your customers. And then finally, is it intelligent? Is it covering everything that you need to cover? Is it continuously evolving? So like if your customers come in and need to use their virtual wallet and they just want to tap it on your terminal, do you provide that experience? And if not, how can you do better? And what is the roadmap for you to get there? And are these your customers? And it's a lot to ask in terms of, are you doing the right thing? But ask yourself, what are your customers? What are you targeting? What's your target market? And are you playing too small by not serving them adequately, which may mean that they're going to leave? Or are you continuously growing your business with your customer base as well? Because if you're not there, let's say you just decide that you're not there, you're not providing that experience because that's not who you are. Many brands, big brands that have said the same thing, and many of them aren't here today, right? So ask yourself, do you want to be a going concern? Do you want to continuously evolve? Do you want to continuously grow? And do you have the right partner to grow? And as I said earlier, if you forget a lot that I've said, remember this: how are you making it convenient for your merchants to pay, for your customers to pay? And while it's difficult for me to predict the future of payments, I can tell you that these are the underlying pillars that should guide your thought process, because your customers are continuously looking for easier ways to buy. They don't want to be sold to, but they want to buy. So provide an environment that they can buy. And I'll end with this short video, which was shared with me about 15 years ago, but it's still relevant.
Pizza Palace, guaranteed to have 30 minutes or it's free. This is Mary. May I take your order?
Hi, Mary. Yes, I'd like to order.
Is this Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you for calling again, sir. I show your national identification number as 610-204-999-8-45-54610. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. I see you live at 736 Montrose Court, but you're calling from your cell phone. Are you at home?
I'm just leaving work, but
Oh, we can deliver to Bob's Auto Supply. That's at 175 Lincoln Avenue, yes?
No, I'm on my way home. How do you know all this stuff?
We just got wired into the system, sir.
Oh, well, I'd like to order a couple of your double meat special pizzas.
Sure thing. There'll be a new $20 charge for this, sir.
What do you mean?
Sir, the system shows me that your medical records indicate that you have high blood pressure and extremely high cholesterol. Luckily, we have a new agreement with your national healthcare provider that allows us to sell you double meat pies as long as you agree to waive all future claims of liability.
What?
Do you agree, sir? You can sign the form when we deliver, but there is a charge for processing. The total is $67.
$67?
That includes the delivery surcharge of $15 to cover the added risk to our driver of traveling through an orange zone.
I live in an orange zone?
Now you do. Looks like there was another robbery on Montrose yesterday. You could save $48 if you ordered our special Sprout Submarine combo and picked it up yourself. Comes with tofu sticks. Those are very tasty, sir. Good value, too.
But I want double meat.
Well, I'm sure you can afford the $67 then. You just bought those tickets to Hawaii. They weren't cheap, eh? Oh, but I see you checked out the budget beach prom at the library last week. Up to you, sir.
All right. I'll get the Sprout subs.
Good choice, sir. Gotta watch that waist if you're hitting the beach, eh? 42 inches. Wow. Man, I'd say tofu and sprouts is like required.
That's how much?
Just between you and me, there's a $3 off coupon in this month's Total Men's Fitness magazine. Your wife Betty subscribes to that, right? Anyhow, clip that and it's $19.99 even. Whoa, looks like you maxed out on all your credit cards. Bring cash, okay?
Want to stop this from happening?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gregory. Really informative presentation. So just in summary, I actually have a question that is related primarily to e-commerce. A lot of our companies are thinking about going into e-commerce, and obviously for protection and data privacy is a big issue. What are the top things that you would indicate that businesses who are looking to go to e-commerce and payment online should be looking at?
Privacy and data protection as key. Our role that we play as a processor, and I'm going to tell our role and say about the company, is that we look at from the credit card details perspective. We ensure that you're not capturing any card details, ensure that your site is secure. We do penetration tests quarterly on our merchants' websites, or we look at what's new in the security space in terms of what are the new threats, and we execute those threats on our merchants' website and then give the feedback if there are opportunities for them to improve. From a merchant perspective, I would say that it's important that you have the right people who are monitoring your site as well, that they ensure that there's no leak from your site. Everybody remember what had also happened with Target many years ago, but it's still relevant and they had to pay some hefty fines on it. And what we do is that we provide the latest in technology. So like even some of our technology is what is used in the US passport system, right? And that is a very high level secure platform. So, but a lot of it depends on the merchant also being gatekeepers, because even if you put in the infrastructure and then somebody decide that, okay, I'm gonna really get in your site, and they send you a phishing mail where they say, hey, Javed, see the new trends in marketing for that can make businesses grow. And you click on that link because you're interested in trends in marketing.
Right.
Or let's say there's another, let's say Latoya is interested in shopping, and so they send something based on her interest, and you click on it and they automatically start to get in through just by virtue of you clicking on that link. It's important that you as a merchant, you understand the role that you play, because no matter what security you have, if the first line of defense is human beings, right?
Okay. We have an audience question. So I'm getting some help. Sure.
I think I've seen one from Natasha Levy. She's saying, given that a few companies have tried and not done well, how do you assess Jamaica's readiness for mobile money, mobile wallets now? It's interesting. And I'll share a story with you that I share with my team all the time. So, and the story is that you have two salesmen sent to a country. I'll call it country A, right? One called the boss and said, and they're shoe salesman. One called the boss and said, boss, I'm coming back immediately because nobody here wears shoes, right? So this is a waste of time selling shoes. And the other one called the boss and said, boss, I need another shipment of shoes right now because the market right. Everybody here needs shoes. And I go in with that mindset to say the market is still ripe, very, very ripe. Yes, a number of companies have gone into mobile wallet space and the mobile space in Jamaica with a goal to serve the underbanked, and the robust promise that they've had hasn't been delivered, right? What are some of the challenges in that? Well, one, you need it to be convenient, and I go back to convenient, both for the merchant as well as for the consumer. Because even if I, as a consumer, have mobile money, when I go to the corner shop, he's not going to accept mobile money. So it needs to be convenient where you can have it and spend it. And also, it can't be that you need to have data service on your phone to have it. And that has been a part of the challenge for some of the providers. So there are a number of challenges, and there have been, DOJ has tried to create that framework to support it. And what I expect that you will see more in the future is greater partnership between fintechs and banks, because the banks should have the regulator license to support that as well. So you will see more partnership to facilitate that. It's not gonna happen overnight, but we've seen a lot of great use cases, like even Africa, where it has done very, very well. But it has to be underpinned by convenience. Yes, and when you look at the evolution of payment, it's always convenience that causes someone to evolve from one method to the other.
Thank you very much, Gregory. What I would say as well is that we're in an evolving digital space, and wherever there is a change, wherever the market is changing for digital, there is opportunities. So when it comes down to the mobile payments, I am sure with the BOJ's move into the digital currency, and with other players in the market moving as well, there's opportunities. So if I was advising any merchant, I would say definitely pay attention to the range of offerings that you're giving your customers, and allowing them the ability to pay for your services, and see if you can anticipate what is happening and plan ahead. Gregory, thank you so much. Very, very insightful presentation. Really, really appreciate everything that was presented, and I'm sure that the audience really reflects that same feeling as well.